Good evening, good morning, whenever you're watching this video. Welcome back to Uncomfortable Conversations with First Presbyterian Church. Again, my name is TJ, and this is our pastor, Dan Snyder. So welcome back, guys. Last week we had some good talks, and I guess we're just going to follow up, have some dialogue together, and see where it takes us, and hopefully you enjoy it, learn something from it, or have any questions, let us know. And I think I'm going to start possibly by asking Dan a question. Since we started this series, what is one thing that you possibly learned or you've gotten out of this or didn't expect to happen that has happened since we started this series?
Yeah, that's good. I think, well, just generally, I've been very grateful and impressed with our congregation and the way they've leaned into this and responded to it. There's been a lot of interest. They've passed it along to friends. I feel like we're doing good things. I've been proud of our congregation and the way it feels like they really want to learn about this stuff. So I think we're leading the way with it. I think culturally, though, it's opened my eyes to things that probably I didn't see before, that now I'm a little bit more aware of and saying, oh, that's what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. A couple things hit the news, even within the last 24 hours that I hear differently now, because we've had these conversations about Black Lives Matter and things like that. So I think it's also helped me to get more comfortable being able to voice my thoughts and questions, and I hope it does the same thing for people in our congregation too, that they feel like it's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to stumble your way through it.
And for me personally, it's okay. It's okay whenever you want to ask a question, but it's okay for me personally, just for me, when somebody has already acknowledged what's going on and acknowledged systematic racism and acknowledged oppression. Then I just love the conversation. If there's no acknowledgement of anything like that, and then you want to say, why are you guys rioting? That's the one. Like, let's acknowledge everything else first, so we can even get to there. Because if not, I can't even get there with you. Like that, you actually, I don't have time for that.
Right. So, like you said, acknowledging the first, our first episode when I, just said boldly, I want to just say that I'm a white racist.
And I was very surprised he was going to say that. I was like, you're really going to say that to the church? He's like, yes.
Is that okay to say that? But you affirmed it, and we're grateful for that. But I want to let you know that there were a couple other people during the week that replied an email going, "Me too." So sometimes you got to take the first step to say it's okay to say that, so that we can own it, so that we can take responsibility for our actions, and I think that's important. But you brought up I think you brought up the rioting. We want to kind of walk our way into that. For me, the question kind of is rooted in a common fear, or I think it's a common fear. I know, at least for me, that over the years, a fear of particularly Black people has been somehow leaked into my life, and I don't know how that ever happened. And through these conversations, that's another thing I've learned, is that I have become more aware of my uncomfortability or my fear about asking uncomfortable questions, or even being in the presence of a community of people where I feel like an outsider. And I think a lot of that's common, but more so with Black people than white people.
Why do you think that happened? Because you said you don't know how that started to happen. Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that that you're starting to recognize this now, that you had this fear?
I don't know. I do think, though, that recently the way, and I don't want to keep always blaming the media, but I'm more aware through the media how this messaging comes my way. I'm sure it comes my way more through the media. I'm just aware of it more when it comes that way. But even recently with the riots that were taking place in the country, I recognized how often Black people are portrayed in those news media videos, and again, if I'm not in relationship with a community of black people, and that's the only place I'm getting my information about those people,
Yes.
then I begin to kind of take that on into my life as that's the way those people are.
And
we didn't have
your
images,
belief system.
right? I didn't have pictures of like Asian people looting.
Yeah. So your belief system is what you're taking in culturally, what you're around, and that's what forms it.
Yeah. So it's made me, I think, through my life, just afraid of. I didn't wake up one day and said I'm going to be afraid of black people, but that's been part of it. I mean, and I've just never asked. I mean, as a black person, are you afraid of white people? I mean,
well,
does the same thing happen to you?
When you look at me, you definitely see a person of color, but you're not always recognized as black. Most people think I'm Hispanic, Puerto Rican. My mother's Italian, my father's black. I'm white and black, so I don't fear white people, never have. I was aware of racism since a little boy. I was followed in the store when my white cousins were not. Since a little boy, when my white cousins were going on certain trips, I was not allowed. Like certain things I noticed at a young age, right? In my own family, like racism.
Wow.
My mother comes from an Italian family from back in the homeland, and she got pregnant by a black teenager in the 70s, which was me. So there was a lot of tension that I got to also witness growing up. But I didn't fear, because I also had a lot of love with my white family as well.
Sure.
So
sure.
I have black friends that just, have experienced different experiences than me. So I don't have that fear. I have more of an awareness. I have that fear if there's a police officer around me or nearby.
Okay.
I've had that for most of my life.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question or not, but I don't personally.
Yeah, I think it's.
Something could be uncomfortable.
It could be uncomfortable.
I think I mentioned the what's it, a men's retreat here.
Yeah, we did.
Ago.
Yeah.
Did we talk about it in the video before?
We didn't. We should tell about that.
So
so a couple years ago, we took a group of men down a men's retreat, and some of you watching probably were with us.
It's like 10.
Yeah, about 10 of us went down.
Oh, 10 years ago.
10 years ago, but there were about 10 of us also that went down.
Yeah.
We were black and white, but it was far more white.
There was 300 men, and there was me and a black guy that used to go to our church named Jimmy Hackett.
Yeah.
So it was us two.
Us two, and then we came and we picked up.
We were Don Hackett, and then me and James were like, oh. This looks like a Klan rally. It's a joke. That's what we said there. And some guys laughed with us, but then you left and brought back Troy Richardson.
Right.
And then it was
three, so it just tripled. So.
You know what's cool about that? 300 men from churches all over the East Coast, and the only church that brought some black men was First Pres. That was a great retreat, by the way. But that was uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Not fearful, but uncomfortable. And if you can just imagine being around 300 black men at a conference, you're gonna feel, and that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna be uncomfortable.
So when I'm in those situations, I'm afraid that I'll do something wrong, or that I'll socially, like if it was reversed and there were 300 black men and 3 white men, I would just feel so self-conscious that I was gonna do something. I do everything I can to avoid it. I don't know that I would have done that, because I just wouldn't know how to act or what to do, and in that kind of situation. So I'm really grateful for the modeling that you did in that. So, as we think about those situations, I'm sure in those contexts, the question I'm wondering as I'm exploring these things is how have you had opportunities where you've seen either 300 white men or 1 white man do something or say something that was racist and they should be told, and if you were in that kind of situation, how comfortable would you be saying to that person, that
if I seen some discrimination going on, profiling, or well, I'm very comfortable with holding them accountable in the correct way and voicing, standing up for anybody that's being discriminated against.
So how have those conversations gone with white people when we've done something like that?
Well, I have to think back because I don't have a whole lot of times where I jumped out and said, hey, don't treat someone that way. I didn't have many experiences myself. I had to think about that.
Yeah.
I've been discriminated against and profiled for dozens of times, but me actually having something happen in front of me where I had to step up, I'm sure there's a few, but I had to think about it. As you guys can see, we just go off the top. If I had more time, I would have remembered something.
We'll come back to that, because I think there's a lot of hope for, I'm learning if I could just take a posture of being receptive to that and reflective on that, if I'm courageous enough to not be fragile and just to say, you know what, tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Because the times that I've had Black friends say, and they'll do it kind of in a joking way to help me kind of go, hey, I caught you.
Yeah.
Which has been so helpful. And if I've been able to lean into it and say, tell me more, which is hard to do because typically it's the most shameful thing that I think I could.
I think that's the bigger question, Dan, is how does someone like you be able to do that and receive it when someone says, hey, that's what you just said's a little out of line, or can be, this is how it felt to me, and you can accept that and say, oh, like how did you get to that point without feeling like, oh, like you're being attacked or labeled?
I think it comes mostly from feeling like this is a safe place, you know, to be able to talk about that because there is that fear that I talked about in the beginning, and I have to kind of put that away, and to know that you're not going to assault me, you're not going to steal my wallet, you're not going to all those things are that we've been taught in our life about like what Black people will do.
Yeah.
And that you really do care about me as a friend and as a brother, and that creates the context for a safe place.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, we want to create those opportunities.
You talk about being safe and fearful. This is something I didn't think I was going to talk about here. It just popped up in my head. My wife, who's a white woman, Christy, said she wanted to get some kind of support in and put up like a banner or a sign, because you see Black Lives Matter signs around the city and places. There's even like 2 in our neighborhood, which I live in the suburbs, Manhattan Township today. And one of our neighbors have one, a white family, and she's ready to get one. I said, I just want you to hold up on that. She said, what do you mean? Like this is, you know? I said, because I just want to make sure that we're not attacked or threatened or hurt. If I'm not here, you guys are home alone. And she saw it for a second, she goes, oh, okay. And that's real. You might think that's I'm over exaggerating, that, it's actually real. I'm not sure yet if I want that on my property only because of my family.
Yeah, so that's not just
now the neighbors that are a white family, a couple houses down, I don't believe they have that same fear. I'm so glad they're supporting that, putting that out there, but I don't think they're worried about someone coming to hurt them for it.
Yeah.
And I am. So I don't know why that came up now, guys.
I think that's an important thing. I have another Black friend that I have has told me stories about his life. He's about your age, who's told me stories about a place he lived in Lancaster County, right here in this county, where he's had crosses burned on his front lawn, you know. And I thought, wait a minute, that happens in Mississippi and Alabama. That doesn't happen in Lancaster County. And I've never had that kind of fear. You know, I could put a Black Lives Matter sign out, and I don't think my house is gonna.
Yeah. Years ago, I was about 15 years old. I was staying at my uncle's house, my white uncle. I have a cousin the same age, and he went to Warwick High School. I got out of school early. We had a couple days out early at the end of the school year, and Warwick still was in school. This was the time Spike Lee's movie came out in the 90s called X, on Malcolm X.
Oh yeah.
I went to King's Market on King Street. We used to sell this cheap clothing for us in the city, the bootleg clothing. And I bought a Malcolm X short set. It's about 20 bucks, sweatpants, and it has the big Malcolm X here.
Yeah.
And it has a black fist holding it. This was cool that the Malcolm X has, where it was culturally relevant to us. It was a big deal. We were learning about Malcolm X. Anyway, I wore that to walk my cousin to school at Warwick. I was about 14 or 15.
Yeah.
And it gives me goosebumps. I was surrounded by 100, 150 kids, and screaming in my face to get out of the crowd. This is right here, you know, 20 some years ago though. And teacher came out after circle around me, screaming at me to get off the property because he cannot guarantee my safety or hold these kids back. And they were screaming like reverse racism. I had no idea that I was walking into this different culture with a Malcolm X shirt on, and that I was in that much danger. One girl came out who was like me, a mixed kid. Her name was Angie. Never forgot her name. I think it was Angie Richardson or Richardson. She was a kid. She came out screaming to leave me alone. She was a mixed kid that went to that school.
Yeah.
So I don't know why these things I'm thinking about right now, but just a different perception because I have different experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, and even though that kind of stuff, what we've been trying to say in this video series is you don't have to be that person screaming at you to be a racist. But those inform, and they inform us.
Yeah.
Those kind of experiences get caught on television and continue to build a wedge and the divide between us and make us afraid to sit down and feel that we can have these conversations without any danger, and so we want to be able to do that.
This is what's building the bridge. This is
Yeah.
having different people and cultures and races together, having conversations, and this is how we make change.
So I think we might have a surprise next week. So you'll have to come back next week for our 5th and final episode, and we're working on an idea that I think you're going to enjoy. So
all right,
appreciate that.
thank you guys much.
Bye.
Bye.